Hello everyone, and welcome that you're here. On my right side, I would like to introduce ourselves. Okay, sure. Let's. Guck. Okay, jetzt sind wir gut, oder?
Ich glaube.
Okay.
Boarding completed, hopefully.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome that you're here. First of all, I would like to introduce ourselves. On my right side, we have Andreas Schmuck, long-time Scrum Master, very involved with scaling, high team performance, and of course a little bit of organizational development. And myself, Matthias Reischer. I am a 2-year Scrum Master, I would say, 10 years in the whole IT industry. I've done different roles, and also I'm very in change, high performing, and of course scaling. Okay, so let's start here a little bit, that you have some kind of frame where we're at. We have 2 tour guides, that would be us, and on the right side our passengers are the Blue Tomato, if you know them, and of course Netconomy. So the question is, why are we here? We would like to do 2 things actually. The first thing is we would like to give you some alternative to SAFe or Nexus or other frameworks that are out there. And on the other hand, I will talk a lot about change, and I will give you some kind of view where maybe you could take it home and maybe think about the problem that you have from a different perspective. And I hope that is something that you actually can do something with it. Okay, let's start at the beginning. I think it's very important if you do some kind of transformation that you know where you're starting and why are you even here, why are you doing this, right? So we call it the Echo 13 team, was a very well performing team already. They had some kind of small, I would say, impediments like internal alignments. You could do something with it, but not like that you really win something with it. And of course processes you can always think about, especially if you have some kind of processes that are very old, and you need to think about how to get it out of the system, not more processes. It's more about getting rid of old processes. So some small improvements, I would say. But let's go to the biggest performance loss, I would call it. You have a team and you have 2 customers. What is happening all the time? The team is pulled apart by both of these customers because every customer wants something, right? And this is of course a problem. Even if you say, okay, we set in this team another senior, doesn't help. If you have to switch all the time, doesn't bring you something. So I was very into thinking about how you can change actually the context for this team. Okay, of course you have some kind of stuff like that you have some effort that you're trying to hide all the time because you have 2 customers. You need to think a little bit about that. You cannot share everything, right? And on the terms of context, we all try to overrate personality and underrate the context that we are in. What do I mean by that? If you're here, you're acting in a certain way, right? If you're at home with your kids, you're acting in a certain way. If you're in a traffic jam and screaming at the guy in front that he should move faster, right? You are acting differently. And what did change here? It was not your personality, it was the context you're in. And luckily, the context is something that you can do a lot with it. Okay, so I was thinking together with the product owner how to solve this constant multitasking, task switching thing. And the first try, we were thinking, how about we're doing it that way that we do 1 sprint for 1 customer and the next sprint for the other customer, right? Focus is there. Reduce multitasking, not all of it, of course, because you have blockers on the live system and that will interfere. You could think about doing 2 sprints with 1 customer and then the next 2 sprints with the other customer. At the end, we had the problem that we had some kind of leftovers and the idea was not good enough that all of the people were buying in and we could actually do it. Okay, then we were thinking, what next? Second try. We were thinking we could convince one customer to take the whole team. Okay? Then easily you have the focus, multitasking you get rid of. That would be perfect. And also you have already some kind of team that is performing very well. And if you bring it into this context, they would outperform everything. Okay. There are some downsides to this. The team was working with both of the customers for a long, long time. And if you're working together with the customer for a long time, you are obliged to this customer a little bit. You're feeling some kind of loss if you get rid of one, right? So to get this done, I started with some kind of collaboration workshops, bringing the customer a little bit closer, seeing how we could work together, improve that. Okay, so the product owner back then, I would call him an opportunist. He was very good in recognizing that there's a situation where there's an opportunity, and he was very good in that. So he had this idea, what if we put everyone that can decide something in one room, we're making a workshop, and we're trying to set the context right, and let's see what happens. We wanted to get away, and this is an actual a quote from the customer that he had on his slides. He was thinking we are some kind of Grazer Hybrisbude. Small, 10 people, maybe, that's the max. And that is not right, we are actually 500 people. There's a lot there. you could do amazing things, but he was still thinking we are very small, right? So we can offer more. The question, what I'm always concerned about is what is the best condition, what is the best context you could frame this, right? Because the context mainly is then in the thing that you can say, okay, the outcome will be one of the better ones, right? So we sat together, we did this workshop, and the customer really loved this. We decided a lot on this day. He was like, you know what, I don't want one team, we want actually 2 teams. And we want to have a mixed team together with our developers we already have. And we want to scale with less, because we did some kind of thinking, what does the customer really want? What would be a good framework that you could work with, okay? And we decided back then on this day, let's do this. Wow, perfect, okay, done, right? The problem is, in every change, you have some kind of momentum. And momentum is something that is really, really interesting for everyone that actually wants to change something. If you have a train, and the train goes with 200 kilometers and it hits a wall, what happens? It goes through it, perfect, no problem. But the same train, standing there, you take a small brick, lay it in front of the train cannot get even started, because there's this brick, and you have no momentum. So what you need is urgency, right? Okay. The problem we had was, we decided back then in this room that this will happen, but we need to wait from the final answer from America. Back then it was not a problem. Next week we will get the answer, no problem. The week was there, and then it took months. The problem is now you're in some kind of change process, but it's not going. You're trying your best to basically just light the fire a little bit, right? Okay. So what was the thing we did there? We had a lot of time, of course, because we had now months of time. And we went to the customer and displayed him, hey, that is a real problem. There is no urgency. People know that there will be some kind of change, but not when. And my biggest fear is always we have this kind of big bang thing at the end, because the customer will then decide and then tell us, okay, now do it. You have 3 days, go. I would think that the best thing is that you try to get everything done that you can. For example, we had some developers on the customer side, and we told them, hey, guys, come join our team. Let's see how this goes. And if you have a team that is already well performing, they have some kind of goal, you have some kind of purpose that you feel, you will love this team. And that was exactly what happened. There was this experiment, we say, hey, one dev can join for 3 weeks, this team, never left. Because they really love this team. If you ever have the chance to work in such a team, you will not leave. I go with Eisenhower here. I made like 100 plans, maybe thousands. Plans are nothing. Planning is, I would say, everything. We plan for the worst case. We plan for the best case. We were thinking all the time what could be our options. Okay. So yeah, how to reduce that? We had a lot of talks with everyone, with customer side, with the devs, and this is extremely important because we try to reduce this Big Bang thing already. What is very important is also if you create pressure on the people, you get some kind of counter pressure, and you have a system, and you're pressuring them. The pressure needs to go somewhere. I think it's extremely important that you always have some kind of route where the pressure can go, actually. Therefore, we had a lot of talks. We had rooms where people can share their concerns, what they were thinking about, so that you always have some kind of, I would say, where the pressure can go, right? Okay, let's talk a little bit about position, because position is very important in all of this. I was talking about the context, that you set the context right. Yeah? I go now into sports a little bit. If you play soccer and you have a striker, and the striker is perfect, every game, minimum 2 goals, talented, many years in there, perfect. And you as a coach go and say, you know what, you did a perfect job. What about you're now a goalkeeper in the next game? What will happen? Of course, he will be mediocre at best. Even if he's the best striker you had, right? Okay, what do I want to say with this? You need to recognize when you need someone, right? And in this case, I tried to win Schmuck for the cause. I would say it was more about convincing you a little bit, because he had some kind of advantage that I didn't have. He implemented less 3 times and failed 2 times. Perfect. That is actually what you need in this situation. You have someone that went through the mud and already know what are the problems there. Okay, and also you need the right person for that. I could implement that. Sure, I could, but it would be mediocre at best because I never done it. Okay. So, what was happening then? We waited like nearly a year, and then from America came this message: we have taken a long time to decide, so now we would like it quickly. And because they already know that this is happening a lot of times, as always. This is our original quote. This is we didn't make it with that. Mm-hmm. From change perspective, highly problematic what you're doing. You're standing here with your train, and now it's like, okay, let's go in another train. ICE, 300 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Let's do this. Very, very problematic. Okay. So, to set the context right, I would like now to place Schmuck here and ask the question, how did we lead through this change?
Yeah, that was then the situation we had. We had a final decision and a go that we can change the whole setup and also talk to the people and also implement stuff. And yeah, we were, let's say, okay, it came then finally after 5 months out of a sudden. We had to, speed up a little bit, because also we were close to summer vacation season. People are not there anymore. So there were several months left to do this, and we sit together and try to figure out, okay, what exactly are we going to do now, and what is this change in the setup, because we had changes of the people, also changes of the products and the customers is about. And we figured out there are 2 transitions that we are going to do. And the first transition is that we are going to make a transition from the single team to a multi-team setup. And within this transition, of course, we are going to reduce the number of products. As Matthias explained, we had 2 clients in the beginning, and we are going to reduce this to 1 client. It means simply we need a process that handles this one single product that we are going to deliver for our client. So from our multi-team, single-team, multi-product environment, we are going to switch to multi-teams within a single product. As you can see on this chart on the right, we are moving from a preferred Kanban space to a less Nexus environment where we say, okay, that might be a feasible framework that we are going to implement there. There was also a decision and a discussion with the management. SAFe was too far away. The setup is way too small, and of course, in a single product environment, it's at least from my opinion totally useless. So we had to do at first this transition. Then we had on top the second thing to do. There were not just only developers from Netconomy, from our organization. We onboarded and had to include developers from the client side. We are talking here about not only developers, also product owners and QA managers. So the team was used. We work within the former structures of Netconomy and had now to move out and join together with the client's people and form a third organization in between, because they have to move out a little bit of the former structure of Netconomy to find their own way of working in and cross-organizational team. The same for the people from the client side or from Blue Tomato, because also they had to shift a little bit and to figure out how can they work together with our people within one team. And that was the second challenge we had in this change and in these two transitions that had to be done and performed. Into the direction of the management, of course, we had also some objectives that had to be placed. What you can see here is the funnel from we have our user needs, and in the end we are going to deliver a working software in form of features that are going to be shipped. And the overall goal of this whole change was that we extend, of course, the funnel of user requirements and needs that can be put in, that we increase the predictability and in the end also shorten the lead time. That means a clear value first approach, also make full utilization of the people that we have in the team, and in overall to reduce the lead time that we have for a feature when it pops up until we are going to deliver it. Yeah, that were basically the things that we had in mind that should be changed then afterwards. And of course, we had to think about how we are going to proceed and what are the steps that we are going to take. And of course, we continued with what Matthias already started, talking to people. And we had quite a lot of roles there. We had the developers, we had development leads from the line management, of course. We had the QA managers, architects, product managers from the client side, our product owners from the client side, and of course the head of the departments. And in special also the head of the digital customer experience department on BTO side, who needs to be convinced and also need to understand what we are exactly doing here. And we set up a structure of interviews. We talked to everybody. Also we took quite a lot of notes, what people think, what they need, how they think their place is in this future setup. And also we, of course, placed some ideas to say, okay, what do you think about a single product backlog? What do you think about working together with another product owner from the other company on this one single product backlog? You don't have your own team. That are ideas that needs to be spread up front so that people can digest it and also think about it. And we had smaller discussions how this can look like. And we got a lot of feedback, and also we incorporated this into our final plan, because we approached this very agile and tried to figure out what are the people's needs. Of course, after that, we had a lot of insights collected and data, and we had to visualize it. We made big drawings in virtual boards, also to draw social structure, how people are connected, how the formal structures work. Of course, Matthias and I know how an economy works, but we had to figure also out how Blue Tomato works as an organization, how the digital customer experience department works, and how this is affected by our change. Also identify their value streams. There are different value streams in the people's mind, also visualize those. And that's something that can be shared publicly, and also a foundation for further discussions, and say, okay, that's what we figured out, that's the current situation, and also place there the ideas that we have how to change this. Using this visualization, it was also very, very important that we made clear where are these boundaries of the change. So there are people that are affected, of course, and there are also people that are not affected at all. So people are sometimes afraid. They see, okay, there's something going on. How might I be affected by it? And of course, we use this to calm down some people and said, okay, we have a limited area where we are going to perform the change. That was, in this case, the delivery team that is working on the online shop. We are not working on the ERP. We are not working on data feeds. Those are the teams. You can stay as you are, because we are focusing on one specific value stream that we are going to optimize and to provide a proper setup for that. And so that's a surprising slide now. Okay. It's too early, yeah, but it's okay. And after collecting and also communicating what's actually there, we took the building blocks from the LeSS framework, and I call those the 5 wants. In the talks before, we already placed those ideas about this one product and how to form this product owner team that acts like a single product owner. Also, this one product we are working on, a shared definition of done, and also that both teams are working on a single sprint. It's something it needs to be also properly understood, and is one of the building blocks, or all of them are building blocks that we have used to shape the team structure and also the structure of the whole process. And of course, we had to take some, let's say, facts into account that prevented us to implement less by the book. Best example is still that we have not one single product owner. But what we have now is 2 product owners, one product owner from Blue Tomato, one from Economy. But there is a clear rule and a responsibility that they work on a one single product with one product backlog. Also in the communication into the direction of the team. It's sometimes not easy for them, but that's something where we also had the need to violate the rule to fulfill the needs that we have in both organizations. Manage the process of the change. Now it comes more into traditional project management. Also, this change needs to be managed overall. I need a plan. What are the things that needs to be done? Make this visible and transparent. Share everything. I created a conference space where all the activities, all data that we have collected, all the charts were publicly accessible. So there was no hidden space somewhere. Nobody had to be afraid of that we are doing something somehow secretly. And of course, we had to track because we had also a deadline. Then in the end, it was the 18th of May. It was the 18th of May. Basically picked in this example, not because it was the most feasible date where we get everything done, but it was the last day in this year where everybody from both companies would be available together to start the first sprint. And that was one thing that was very, very important, that everybody is part of this event and also takes part on it. So, and towards this goal, managing the change like a traditional project and create transparency, and everybody knows what is going on and what needs to be done. Next to all this, teach and train. I think in the there is one guide in LeSS that starts with educate the people. The people in the setup know Scrum, or they worked several years already in software development at Netconomy, at other companies. Maybe one hint and something I've learned in the past from the other transitions, and also in my introductions of LeSS, was that you should not assume that people know how things and why things work like described. Why Scrum works, what's important there, why we are doing things, and I did basic trainings. And I started with Lean, and I explained them what is waste, and then we dig into Scrum, and also why we are doing actual in the current process, how inspect in the depth works, and also in the end, of course, explaining why scaling with less, and what are the important things that you should have in mind when you implement it. Especially, as you can see, empirical process control, people were very interested in this. And of course, what does lean value delivery mean, and how they can impact it in their daily work. As I said in the beginning, there was the second transition that we had to do. It's about how to create an organization or an organizational structure for those teams that provides for people from the client side and also from Netconomy the best possible environment that they can work together. And that had, of course, some implications. That means, for example, Eco 13, that was the internal naming of the team within Netconomy. It's something that we had to get rid of, for example, because the people from both organizations do not identify with an Netconomy internal naming. They had to come up with their own team names. I had to rename everything in Conference and also in Jira. There were Eco 13 boards and a space and so on to Blue Tomato, so that it's clear that this is now a shared organization working on the same product with the same goals. And of course, you have to tackle quite a lot of administrational stuff so that people have same access to materials, same access to tools, that they can perform the same tasks, doing deployments and doing the testing, run build pipelines, and so on and so on. Also there, quite a lot of things that we had to prepare. And in the end, we did team workshop. Everybody was on board. And then we, there, together with the people in this setup, we made, of course, some major decisions. Who is going to work in which team, how we are going to name the team, how does the meeting schedule look like, how our value stream, our definition of done and everything needs to be set up. That's something that was not decided top down. We had there 2 days time to work together with all the people and to define a common rule set and to establish the main structures that are needed for the first sprint, because everything was aimed for this, in this year, 18th of May, to say we have a sprint planning event, there is a backlog, we know who is in which team, what the schedule looks like, and then finally to say, yeah, brace for the sprint and let's start. Yeah, just again, what have been the objectives from the management side also, and it was, of course, this extending of the funnel, shortening the lead time, and also the predictability that was not there before. And based on those goals and also the transitions, we had some major achievements. And the setup now works in the 12th sprint in the meanwhile. We managed that we have a very, very early involvement of the team in planning and refinement of user stories, but something that didn't happen before. Also, we have, mainly because of the LeSS framework, a very, very good distribution of workload. Both teams are cross-functional, capable to work on every component on the platform, so that always the most important item on the product backlog can be put, and there is some team that is out of work to pull it. Also, we have now the capability to really plan ahead, at least for 2 sprints. Backlog stability was increased. We have a very, very good completion rate at the moment, nearly 85 to 100% of the planned tasks to be completed. And in the end, it's also a good mood in the team that people like it. They have been involved. We did a very, very slow process to get them on board, so they understand, of course, why we are doing this, and now they also can see and feel how it works. I did a survey in June. I did a survey last week again, but I got the same results. It did not get worse in the meanwhile. So we have a high dependability. They like the teamwork. There is a high trust and safe, or they feel trusted and also very, very safe in their teams. A low rating, I haven't put it on the slide, is we still suffer a little bit on a lack of sustainable pace. We have still these phases where we need to work longer, also where we need to rush to some deadlines. That's something to be worked on, of course. But in the end, it still works. The people love it, and I think mainly because we took quite a lot of steps ahead to prepare them for those new changes. So we learned some things about.
True. Okay. What did we learn here? Okay. The first thing is that it's a very big learning. I really like. I call this pair scrum mastery. It's like pair programming, but with another scrum master, and you have one driver, and you're doing the same thing. And this does, I think, 2 things. The first one is the quality overall is getting raised a lot. You're seeing, for example, I had for sure overseen some stuff, and Schmuck was coming to me and was like, Matthias, did you think about that? And I was, oh God, no, we need to think about that. And that helps you a lot. I would say this worked pretty well. The second thing is consistency. I think this is something that is totally underrated, because overall you want to be very consistent in this change. You would like to bring your A game every time, and that is not possible if you have one Scrum Master 50% in a team that does such a change, right? Impossible. But that is something I really would like you to challenge, try it out at least for a little bit. You will learn a lot, at least I did. Okay, the second one, pressure creates counter pressure. I was always very concerned not to apply too much pressure, because people will leave. If there's a big bang and you cannot work like you worked before, you will leave, and you lose very, very good people just because you're pressuring them too much, right? I think I spoke to you daily that we don't create too much pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, there was a third thing about leadership alliances. If you know the model from the urgency, and after that come the alliances, right? And we were searching for that here.
Yeah, some weird thing happened because we tried to follow the steps of the change model from John Kotter, established this sense of urgency, and also we were looking for this leadership alliance that is needed to make also these main decisions in the middle management at our client's organization. And after 2 workshops, I figured out there is no sense of urgency. They were not highly motivated to contribute, and that was the moment where I was thinking, okay, I think now we get in deep trouble, really deep trouble. And also my former lead told me, hey, maybe you should stop this and maybe you should start over again. But stupid me, I was stubborn to continue. And I found another leadership alliance within the product owners and some people of the team that were managing with the stakeholders to create the space, also to get these decisions done, and also do some discussions in their organizations. And that was a learning that, no, it was not middle management, not the people that usually make the decisions are my leadership alliance. I had some people that really had the sense of urgency, that were highly motivated to fight for their setup and how they would like to work in future. And that was a surprising learning, that something like that can pop up and made it possible that we complete all this work and also do the change for the team. Yeah, and of course the team contributed also very well and took part on all the workshops and contributed, of course, with a lot of ideas. This hugging smiley and with the blue tomato and an economy logo is also on the main page for the team space, and is always used when we do things together. Also, for example, last week an all together team event, both organizations here in Graz, and yeah, growing together. So that's again me and Matthias. If you would like to get in touch, we can be found on LinkedIn. Just write a message. And if you have questions now, please shoot.
Hello. Actually, I have a lot of questions. I had to make an ordered list, but I start with the first one and then I give back to the next guy or girl. Thank you for the motivating presentation, of course. What mistakes did you make? Maybe one mistake for each of you.
One serious mistake, and we got some very bad feedback on managing the stakeholders. There was the product management, but they have also stakeholders on their side, and even trying to be very transparent. In the first sprint retrospective, they of course told us that they accept this change now, but they were from their perspective not part of it. And what I took there as a learning, and it was really a mistake because I missed it, that I include also this group of people. I was trying to keep it as small as possible, who is involved, but sharing information, but not actively talking to a broader group of people. So even if you think it's just about your development team, also think about people watching from the outside that are also affected, because they need to know how does it work in future, how do I place a requirement, and who can I talk to if I have some detailed questions, who to provide feedback. And that was something they were totally unhappy with. That was one of the negative feedbacks we got on this whole transition as well. Team was happy, but the outer space, even I tried my best, but it was not enough.
What would be the biggest mistake? I would say for sure the first try, because if you try something and you fail, you have the problem that you don't get as many chances, right? You have like 3 chances. If you miss all 3, you're done. I think I think we could have communicated, I would say, earlier what we need, especially with upper management, I think, at some points. My learning is to include them actually earlier. We did it early, but not as early. I would do it even earlier, I would say.
Thank you. That answers actually my second question as to what was the drawing of the social structure and overhead. No, it was not, obviously. So, thank you.
I have a question. Okay, I don't know. No, it's going in that direction regarding this socio-diagram or socio-matrix. What you draw. How detailed was it? So was it more like from the meta layer, or was it like really that you took some analysis out of Slack where you saw how much does this person write to another person?
No.
Okay.
No. It's basically how people perceive it on their own. That's part of the interviews.
Okay.
So most of the information is in people's mind, and it's most important what's in people's mind.
Okay.
And of course, I can then dig for some evidence and prove or disprove what they have in mind. But at first, the feedback is totally enough. And who they are talking to, and also they start then to describe what they think about, of course, other people, and who they like and dislike, and so on. And that's enough.
Okay.
Don't dig too in detail.
Thank you for the answer. And there is another question as well. Yes, this forming phase, it's, I think, the most important thing, and you did it, and you said you took your time. But yeah, how did you communicate this? Because the least thing the client wants to pay is like, now you do the forming phase and have workshops and so on. Although it's the starting point, the most important thing. How did you do that, and how long time did you take yourself for those things?
We expected, let's place it like that, that we will go directly into all these document phases, and the first sprint will be a huge mess and so on. But for some reason it didn't happen, because we prepared the people. We set a very, very strong formal structure already up front, so they knew who has which responsibilities, where to meet, so there was no need to figure that out in the beginning. Of course, we started to change a lot of stuff in the upcoming sprints, but they basically accepted what we have prepared and started to follow it. So there was, of course, a forming phase, because the people were mixed and shuffled. They had to get to know each other and so on. But when it comes to the process structure, it was very, very helpful that we put it down very, very hard, and did also a hard cut and said, okay, on the sprint day, we start with the new schedule, new process, no transition phase, so that you have nothing in parallel, and that provided to the people, of course, some safety in sense of, okay, now we know what has to be done, and also to we reduced and discussed a lot of the question marks up front. So the first sprint went very well. Of course, everybody was excited as well, high motivation and so also there was no loss of performance or velocity, or however you call it. That came then afterwards. In the subsequent sprints, then when we started to figure out, okay, what actually really works and what does not work. And then, of course, we had this more prolonged forming phase.
Thank you.